But you're not getting it right. It goes like this. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a man named Jack. And he didn't have any father, and he didn't have any mother, and he didn't have any sister, and he didn't have any brother. All he had was Jack. And he was walking down the road feeling bad.
Until he came up to a farmer's house, and there was the farmer standing out in his field.
Outstanding in his field.
I said that.
You said standing out in his field.
But they mean the same.
Yeah, but outstanding in his field is a joke. Get it?
Yeah.
See, outstanding means like he was really spectacular, and in his field means in his chosen area of endeavor. You see? So he was outstanding in his field. He wasn't standing out in his field. Okay? Can I tell it?
I want to tell something.
Well, how about when we get to the part where Jack meets the giant? Then you can be Jack and I'll be the giant, but I'll do the first part.
And I'll be a beauty farmer.
All right.
Well, so Jack went up to the farm and said, "Ho there, farmer." And the farmer said, "Ho there, Jack." And then Jack said, "I don't know if I could do a job work here, could I?" The farmer said, "Well, things are going pretty tough around here. The giant's been telling me to give him 2/3 of everything I grow. But I do have one job that needs to be done. I can't give you any money for it, but if you do it, I'll let you sleep in the barn overnight, and you can have dinner with." So Jackson says, "It's a deal." And then the farmer said, "Wait a minute, you don't even know what the job work is." And then Jack said, "It's a deal." Then the farmer said, "It's cleaning out the barn." And he said, "It's a deal." So the farmer said, "Well, here's a wagon and a shovel. Take it and go out to the barn. But before you go, I've got the rules. Yeah. 1, you have no tobacco matches. 2, leave my daughter alone." And Jack says, "It's a deal." So he takes the wheelbarrow and shovel out to the barn and starts shoveling out the horse manure, shoveling out the horse manure. And one time when he comes back in, there's the beauty farm girl milking the cows. And when one is all with no milk in here, 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10. And that's all the cows. So she goes and makes a nice good supper. She thinks, "Boy, Jack is certainly a good worker." So she makes a nice hot pan of water and she takes it outside to Jack. And he had just finished it up, and he don't look very good because he's been jumping out the bowl. So the beauty farm girl said, "Here, Jack, I brought this nice pan of hot water. Thought you might want to wash up." And then Jack says, "Oh, thanks, Jack farm girl." And then just then the farmer comes around and says, "I thought I told you to leave my daughter alone." And then Jack says, "Sorry, farmer." And then the beauty farm girl says, "Oh, Dad, it won't him or me, just giving him this nice hot pan of water." So then did do a nice, good job of the barn. Well, yes, you can eat inside with us. So first he walks up, then he comes inside, and it's a good fine dinner. Chicken, rice, and all that fresh milk that the beauty farm girl had milked fresh from that day milk. And so they had it. Had gravy to it. So when they were done, Jack said, well, don't suppose you have another job of work for me? And the farmer said, well, I saw a sign down the road ways that says King was looking for some help. And then Jack says, I'll go check it out. So he goes down to King's house a ways down the road, and he reads the sign. It says, brave knight wanted to slay ferocious giant. Whosoever will slay the ferocious giant. And Jack said, boy, that's a very hard job of work to do. A fellow would have to be crazy to do that job of work. Then he reads the fine print. It says, a fellow who does it, I mean the brave knight who does it, even though a father will do it, will get half my kingdom plus the sweetest grapes that ever grow. So he goes down to Keon's house and he knocks on the door, and King comes down and says, I didn't advertise for no service boy. And Jack said, I don't want to be a service boy. And the king said, well, no boys are allowed in here either. And Jack said, I'm not a boy, I'm a man, and I want to kill the ferocious giant that you put up on that tree here. And he said, I didn't put a sign up that says no one can slay a ferocious giant. I just put a part in talking.
Go on.
And Jack says, well, I'm going to do it. So King says, well, go down to Blacksmith and have him fit you up with a nice suit of armor. So he goes down to Blacksmith and he knocks on Blacksmith's door. And then Blacksmith says, hi, Jack. And Jack says, hi, Blacksmith. I mean, oh, there, Blacksmith. And then he comes in, and the blacksmith just got finished making a horseshoe, and he said, what would you like, Jack? And he said, I'm going down to kill the ferocious giant, and King sent me down here to get fitted up with a nice suit of armor. And then Blacksmith, well, what would you like here? There's a nice heavy armor here. How about a shield? How about this nightmare? How about this nice heavy armor here? How about this helmet? How about this shield? How about this armor? Jack says, no, all that stuff is too heavy for me. I just like a nice leather apron like you have with a Thomas on it that's white, just like that one. So he says, well, no, You are gonna go down to fight a giant in that. That giant, he's real mean. You know, 7 knights tried and 7 knights failed. And Jack says, and what were they all wearing? And the blacksmith says, well, guess you got a point there, Jack. So, he says, well, can I have the leather apron? And he says, all right. So he puts it on Jack with the Thomas in the back so that the giant won't see the Thomas, because the Thomas looks really nice on it. And besides, it's all white, except for the Thomas. Well, he says, guess I'll be on my way then. But I forgot out of him. And then the blacksmith says, well, wait a minute, before you go, I'd like to give you this nice knife here since you're such a brave fool. So he takes the knife, and that long apron, it's too long for Jack, goes right down to the ground, so blacksmith sews it all the way up. And then he went down to King's house and knocks on the door, and he said, all right, let's have some supper. And, well, the king says, and he says, well, I'd like you to give Jack some, how about 18 pork chops and 18 glasses of wine? So they give him that, and he says, whoa, I could have 1 glass of wine and 1 pork chop. So he fills his apron full of the one and the glasses of wine, and then he says, have another glass of wine, have another glass of wine, have more pork chops, have more pork chops. And he says, whoa, if I can, in no shape to fight a giant. So just all this food in his big pocket there that blacksmith made him. And then after dinner, they were eating cherry pie for dessert, and all that wine and all the cherry pie, King Neo had made his nose red as a cherry, just like a cherry. So then in flew a blackbird and pecked King right on the nose, and ouch! King, kill that bird. Put him up in a pie. And then Jack says, oh, don't harm that bird. It only thought your nose was a cherry. And he holds out his finger. Here, buddy, just like this. And then as nicely as you please, the birdie comes fluttering over. And then it sings a nice little tune. The prettiest tune you ever heard there, Blueberry. Tweet, 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 tweet. Well, I guess he is nice on his ear protection, so I guess you can have him. So he stuffed it up in one of the other ones, because the blacksmith made a few of them. Like he made 5 or 4 or 6. So then Jack Neo says, I guess I'll be on my way. And then King Neo says, on your way? What do you mean? It's still night out. All those other nights was in the morning though. They stayed overnight a few nights and just did all that food. And then Jack said, and how many of them came back? But he says, well, you got a point there, Jack. So, then Jack goes on to his way to Giant Land. He's a long way to Giant Land. So he walks and walks and walks and walks and walks and walks. And walks and walks and walks and walks and walks until he gets to Giant Land. And he climbs up a big tree and hides in it and waits till morning comes, and then morning came and the giant came out of his cave. Kind of boom, kind of boom, kind of boom. He was so big and stepped with the sand jumped around, and then Jack said, "Oh, there, giant!" And waiting up there, well, Giant said, "Who that saying, ho there, giant?" And then Jack said, "It's me, Jack!" And the giant said, "Jack, are you a tree?" And Jack says, "No, but I'm up in a tree." And he looked up the tree and he sees Jack. And he said, "I'm going to eat you up for my supper." And Jack said, "I'm going to eat you up for my supper." And then the giant said, "A big fellow like me could easily eat a little fellow like you, but a little fellow like you could never eat a big fellow like me." So then Jack said, "Well, I bet that I could throw a rock farther than you can." So the Jack says, "Toss me that yellow stone over there that looks about the size of the shape of a blackbird." So he gets one that looks about the size of the shape of a blackbird and throws it up to Jack. And Jack catches it and he says, "I'll blow it against my heart 3 times just for that." And he puts it in his apron, but secretly he doesn't rub it against his heart 3 times just for what. He puts it in and takes out the blackbird. So he throws the blackbird, and it doesn't fly until it gets up to the sun and where the giant can't see it. And he tries to follow where the blackbird goes, but he can't because the sun's there and it's so bright, it's all yellow. So the blackbird goes away, and the giant says, "Well, maybe you could do that, but here, I can do it, and you can do it. Because you can do it, I can do it." So it's a stone about the size of the shape of a rock, and he throws it up, but it goes down, 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 down the giant's toe. Ouch! My toe! And then he gets really angry and he says, "Jack, I'm really going to eat you up." And then Jack says, "Well, I can eat you up. I'm just thinking of it right now." And the giant says, "I could easily eat a little fellow like you, but you could never eat me, a big fellow like me." And then Jack says, "I bet I could squeeze blood from a stone." And then Jack swears that he's going to fight the giant, of course. Will my other brother bear say, and did say, "Well, I could do that, And then Jack says, toss me that yonder stone down there that looks the size of the shape of a loaf of bread. And he picks a rock up that looks the size of the shape of a loaf of bread. And he throws it up to Jack. And Jack catches it. And he says, I'll do it. 3 times just to rock. And he puts it in, but secretly he doesn't run against his heart 3 times for luck. He lets go of it and takes out the loaf of bread and squeezes it, and makes a face like he's squeezing really hard. And then drip, 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 the red ruby wine comes dripping out and it looks like wine. And then he squeezes harder and splash, 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 it comes splashing out. And then the giant says, that's amazing, but if you can do it, I can do it. And then he picks up a stone about the size of the shape of a rock and squeezes it, turns into sand. And then he squeezes it more and it turns into pebbles. And he squeezes it more and his knuckles crack. He makes the knuckle crack by himself. And then the giant says, that's amazing! That's amazing, but if you can do 2 things I can't do, I'm still gonna eat you up to my supper. And then Jack does this. He says, well, I'm going to show you what I ate for my supper, because I ate 14 pork chops and 14 glasses of wine, because I was down at Kinyo's house. And then he said, here, I'll show you. And then he cuts open his leather apron and all that red wine comes dripping out and also pouring out because he cut it open. And then the rocks come out, but Giant sees it like bones. And then he sees the pork chops coming out next. And then he says, oh, I'll do it. Here, toss me that knife down there. So he tosses it down to the giant. And he catches it. And he cuts open his belly. And 7 billy goats coming out. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 1. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 2. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 3. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 4. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 5. Bah! Thank you, Jack. 6. 6 little billy goats come hopping out very nicely. And then the giant doesn't say, thank you, Jack. He says, oh, I should have done that. He cut open his real belly. And then Jack climbs down out of the tree and looks around at the giant. And then he says, oh, his gold ring, I'll get his gold ring. So he pulls it off. And then it was so big that he could just get inside of it. So he got inside it and rolled it around to King Leo's house. And then he knocks on King Leo's door, and King Leo answers. And he says, what, boy? You checking out? And Jack says, no, I'm not checking out. In fact, I exceeded. I brought you this gold ring for a token of my good luck. Okay, so this is the part I can do this part here, right?
And King says, wow, that's more gold than I've ever seen in my life. In fact, that's more gold than I have in my treasury. And since you've done so well, I will give you 1/2 of my kingdom, including the richest farmland down along the banks of the river, where grow the sweetest grapes in the world. And tonight, Jack, we shall have a great party, and you can invite whoever you like. And Jack says, oh, thank you, Your Majesty, I believe I'll do that. And Jack sets off down the road, and his first stop is at Blacksmith's house. He says, ho there, Blacksmith. King's having a party tonight, and he says I can invite whoever I like, and I'd like to invite you. And Blacksmith says, why, I'd be glad to attend. King always puts on excellent parties. And Jack says, thanks, I'll look forward to seeing you there. And he goes on down the road, and he comes back to the beautiful farmhouse, and he sees the farmer out standing in his field. And he says, ho there, farmer. Farmer says, ho there, Jack. And Jack says, say, farmer, King's having a party tonight, and he told me to ask anyone I wanted. And I'd like to ask you and your beautiful daughter if you could come. And the farmer says, a party at King's house? Why, sure, Jack. It's been so long since we've had a party. I'll be delighted to come. And my daughter will be with me. Jack says, that's great. I'll look forward to seeing you there. So that night up at King's house, the princes come and the knights in armor come from far and wide.
Yeah, the ones that were killed by the giant.
And the shoemaker's there, and the candle maker.
Yeah, and all the other farm girls, and all the other farmers.
And the fiddlers 3 are there.
Yeah, and also there's puppets.
And everyone's having a good time. And then the king says, attention please, attention please. I'd like to draw everybody's attention up here tonight. You're probably wondering why I called you all here. Well, tonight's party is to honor Jack, brave Jack, who has slain the ferocious giant. And tonight, he says, come on up here, Jack. He says, kneel down. Jack comes up and kneels down. The king takes a sword and he puts it on Jack's shoulder, and he puts it on his other shoulder. He says, I knight thee, brave Sir Jack, the giant killer. And everyone cheers, and the king says, and Jack, I hereby give you 1/2 of my kingdom, including the richest farmland in the world down along the banks of the river where grow the sweetest grapes. And Jack says, why, thank you, your excellent majesty. And the king says, is there anything in the world you would like, Jack? Anything at all? And Jack says, yes, but I'm afraid it's not something that's yours to give. And the king says, what is it, Jack? And Jack says, I would like to ask the beautiful farm girl if she would marry me. Jack turns to the farmer and he says, farmer, may I marry your daughter? And the farmer says, well, that'd be fine with me, Jack, but it's really not up to me. Why don't you ask her? So Jack goes to the farm girl and he says, excuse me, miss, would you marry me?
Yeah!
And the king, who also has authority to say weddings, marries them right away. And Jack and the farm girl move into the farm down by the river, and they have lots of kids, and they live to be quite old, and the king has no kids, and when he dies, he makes Jack be the next king after him, and that's how he became known as Kindly Old King Jack, the Giant Killer.
Now can I do it on the paper clip?